Hi friends, Berges here. I want to talk about the upcoming solar eclipse today on this video. And I think it's more than just a planetary thing. I think it actually directly impacts our life. I want to talk about how it impacts our life, things you can do right now to change and impact your life on a daily basis, to power up and to find your true awakening. Okay guys, I don't know about you, but I am going to go see the solar eclipse this year. I'm going to see a total solar eclipse, that meaning that I can actually get to where I need to go. I know there's millions of other people going. It's a big deal. And some of you might be saying, hey, what's the big deal? I mean, what is this? It's just another blip in our day-to-day life. But it's kind of profound. And it took me a while to do some investigation and some research. And I spoke with some friends, and also I did a TEDx talk last year, and there was a lady that was speaking in the same group as I was, and she was talking about solar eclipse, and I thought that was really cool and interesting, and she was talking about her experiences and what it meant to her. And you know me, I'm a deep thinker. Y'all see me on this channel a lot. You know how I think, and I really went deep into it. And I just feel like this is a really profound experience, and I really started beginning to find the symbolism in the solar eclipse and how that symbolically resonates with your and my life and how cool that is. So first off, I want to talk about what a solar eclipse is, right? Because there's like full eclipses, there's solar eclipses, there's all kinds of different eclipses we talk about. But the solar eclipse is when the moon orbits the earth and moves between the sun and earth, right? And when this happens, the moon blocks the light of the sun from reaching us, okay? And this causes what? An eclipse of the sun, which is a solar eclipse. And a total solar eclipse is only visible normally from small areas on Earth, and the people who see a total eclipse are in the center of the moon's shadow, right? And that's when it hits. It's pretty cool. And so for a total eclipse to take place, the sun, the moon, and the earth must be in a direct line. Really profound, cool stuff that's happening is that the solar eclipse is going to go from coast to coast in the United States, which is kind of a big deal. Because oftentimes you can only see it from maybe like a remote place or in the middle of the ocean somewhere or something like that that costs a ton of money and really remote, and you got to really, really, really want to see it. And so this year is really profound. And so I kind of figured I would like to see a full-on solar eclipse because I've never seen one. I know that many of you, like me, I think maybe the only time we saw one was like a partial eclipse back in like elementary school. I remember that, like sitting out, hanging out, waiting for it, and they gave us these like protective glasses or something like that. And our homeroom teacher was telling us, hold the glasses up and look into the sky. It wasn't that profound for me as a kid, but I think that this time around, I get the symbolism. I didn't get the symbolism in elementary school. Nobody really talked about that either. They said it's going to get dark for a second, half dark. It was a partial, and it's going to be really cool. And it really wasn't really that cool for me, but this year I think it's going to be pretty profound. So let me talk about the symbolism. Okay, so I told you what a solar eclipse is, per Wikipedia, which is, the vanilla kind of edition, the homogenized version of it. But when I talk about the symbolism of this eclipse, I think it's going to really connect with your life. So think about it. In our lifetime, right, throughout our day-to-day life, we have brilliance of light and magic in our life, that we have like these epiphanies, we grow, we learn, we have these amazing times in our life, and then there's times when we feel that we don't understand the next step, right? We feel as though we don't have the answers. We might feel confused. We might feel lost, okay? We might feel like we don't have a direction. We can feel like we've gotten off target somehow. Maybe it's in a relationship that we're in that's really bogging us down with a lot of drama and chaos. Maybe it's just not knowing what we really want to do. Perhaps we just feel lost and we're wondering, is there more to life? Isn't there going to be more to my life than I feel like there is right now? And so I feel that during this symbolic eclipse, you have those light moments, but then all of a sudden there's darkness. But again, there's always darkness before there's light. So we have to go through those confusing times. We have to go through those times when we feel like we don't have the answer. We have to go through those times that we question our own reality. And I don't know about you, but I've done that a lot. But when I get in that moment and I really focus on who I am and really find that and try to centralize that and try to take out the drama or whatever is kind of getting in the way of my vision, it seems that as I keep working toward it and keep going through the process and believing the fact that I'm going to understand why certain things have happened in my life, eventually, like an eclipse, the darkness goes away and the light prevails. And I feel that this is very symbolic in our life, and I feel that a lot of people are going to awaken in their life, and I think this is a very symbolic approach to the awakening process, right? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what this means to me, and maybe some of this might actually connect with you. I hope it does. The first thing I think is that the eclipse is a phenomenon that shows us that there are no rules, right? There are no rules. Because it's so wild. I mean, think about it. And I think that when we accept the fact that there's no rules, because I'm not saying, oh, go break the law, go crazy, you know, go hit people, go DWI in it, doing everything else. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying a lot of times we make these crazy rules for ourselves, like what it means to be successful in our eyes, or we have to get married at a certain time, or we're a spinster, or we're nobody's going to love us, or we have to settle down, or we have to have this particular career, or we're not successful. So all these rules and regiments that I think bind us in like a prison, I think it's time to really focus on those crazy rules that we've created for ourselves and get rid of some of them. I mean, quite honestly, some of them are just trash. I mean, I've had those rules too where I think, oh, I'm not making this amount of money, so I'm definitely not as successful as those people. Or, you know, I don't have this level of XYZ, and so I feel lesser than, I feel like I'm a lesser of a person. Who the cares? And it's like, I'm tired of this shit. And I think that we create these rules all the time to bind us up. So let's realize that this eclipse is pretty profound, right? And if that can happen, and the moon can get in front of the sun, and it can black out the sun during the day, then I feel like there are no rules. And we can create our own rules and create our own lifestyle. And I think it begins by letting go of old preconceived notions that tell us that we have to be this particular person or we're not good enough. You know, the second thing I think that is profound in the process of this eclipse is that we can do whatever we want. You know, we can do really whatever we want to do in life. Whatever we choose. If we want to go and teach surfing in Bali, okay, you can do that. If you want to be a teacher of underprivileged students and kids, you can do that. There's so many different things that we can do. And I think we need to really focus on what we want to do. You know, often I have clients that come to me and tell me that they can't be themselves in their marriage because this person won't allow this or won't do that. Or they feel like they can't be themselves because of their family won't accept them that way. But in the end, who's going to give you that medal of honor for you not being truthful to yourself? Who's going to sit there and say, hey, Ashley, great job for screwing your life up and being a really unhappy person because you wanted to make these people happy and didn't want to hurt those people's feelings? I mean, to me, I got to step back and analyze that in my own life. I mean, for all you out there who are married and in relationships, do you feel that sometimes you put yourself on the back burner? And sometimes that's good because a marriage is a two-way street, but how often are you living your life for you, or are you living your life because that's what that other person wants? And when we begin to think about those things and realize we have this one life to live here on planet Earth right now at this moment, we probably want to make it the best we can. Holding ourselves back sucks. I've done it a million times. And I feel like this eclipse symbolically is telling me to let go of trying to hold myself back and hold myself down, because time is of the essence. Because if you look back to the last time that a solar eclipse took place in this country from coast to coast, it was a long time ago, okay? I wasn't alive, you weren't alive. I mean, you know, most of us weren't alive that are able to watch this video right now. And so if you think about it, time is going really fast. And so the more we hold ourselves back, the less we get done in this lifetime, the more we have the option of having a large, profound experience of regret. And I've regretted things in my past, and I don't like doing that anymore. I really just don't like that, because regret is one of those things that it doesn't give you anything but kind of nausea. And it makes you look back at life and say, man, I could have done this and I could have done that, but I didn't do it. And even if you do something and you feel that you failed to some degree, is that really failure? Or is that you tried? You put yourself out there. And I believe in it. I don't think that there is any failure except for the failure to actually do something. And I think that this means something. And I think that it's a profound awakening to you to begin to cut down these old thought processes that no longer work, to let go of those things that are holding you back. You know, another thing that I've thought about too when it comes to an awakening process, you know, to light and then dark before the light, and then having this epiphany, is to begin to really focus on ending codependency in our life. Any relationships that were codependent. And so that adds drama and misdirection and off-targeting in our life. And we feel that they and their issues are our cross to bear, when that is not at all the truth. And so if you're currently in a relationship where somebody is dependent on drugs or alcohol, or going through a mental type crisis that doesn't seem to be working out no matter what you're doing to help them, you've really got to sit back and ask yourself, am I willing to go down this path for the rest of my life? Okay? Because I think everybody has their own things to learn, and everybody has their own life to live. Now, when we become codependent in relationships and we take on other people's issues, we have to realize first off that now we're no longer on our journey and path, but now we have actually taken our journey and combined it with theirs. And I'm not really sure that that's exactly what we should be doing in this life. I agree that when we get married, we care about another person. We actually care about their thoughts and their feelings, and we care about being there, and that's awesome. And we reciprocate and we do things for them. But I think there's a normal, healthy level, and then there's not. Because when I've gotten out of that healthy level and gone into the unhealthy level, all of a sudden I feel like I'm wearing blinders to the big stuff in my life. So the cool stuff, the things that could actually change my life, that awakening process. I feel like I kind of lower myself into a lower frequency, and my life feels very small. I feel like I'm kind of in prison with my emotions and my feelings, but often too, I feel like I'm missing the big picture, and I think we are, because we're getting bogged down by human type minutia that needs to be worked out by each individual. And I find that when we get in the way of other people's karma, meaning when we try to change them because we think they could be better one way, or we try to do this or do that, and they're not really asking for us to help, I believe that we actually pay karmatically for that, because people have to live their journey. They have to learn their journey. They have to be their life. They have to take control of their life. And when we try to take care of their life and control their life, then I think we actually have some stuff coming to us that's not really good juju. And I think oftentimes we do that because why? We often don't want to look into our own life. You know, retrospecting is key, and looking into our own life is key. But it's a lot easier to try to save someone else or change someone else or be there for someone else, when in reality we need to look at our own life and contemplate what needs to be worked on. And symbolically speaking of the solar eclipse, I think that it directly relates to the awakening to who we are. Okay? And I've talked about this a little bit, but we can go through it real quick. I think we're spirit gods that come in here to this planet to live this life, to learn some of the things that we need to learn. I think unconditional love is one of the biggest things. Acceptance of ourselves, acceptance of others, okay? I think that is. I think that we rent this body suit that we go through life in. So no matter what color, no matter how tall, no matter how short, no matter how long your hair is, how short your hair, if you don't have any hair, I mean, we're all connected, right, to this source. No matter what we look like, we're all the same, okay? And I feel that when we begin to awaken to our life, we realize this. And so color and all that stuff doesn't matter anymore. Like, you don't see somebody as being black or white or Hispanic or Asian. You see them as someone else that's part of your life. It's part of you, okay? And when we begin to awaken to the fact that we are these spirit gods in these skin bodies, I like to call my vehicle, okay, because it really is our vehicle, because we can walk around and get around or whatever in this body. And then when we begin to realize that, we realize that there's a higher level of thinking that we have to deal with, as far as understanding the reasons for being here, understanding that we are supposed to find acceptance of ourselves and really find that and go in to find that and really do that self-work, that deep, profound work to really find that self, but also to really figure out what unconditional love means and how to find that and how to make that happen. And I think if you look back at the symbolism of the eclipse, you have the light, then you have the darkness, and you have the light. And I think that when we go through that process of trying to figure out who we are, we go through a process of darkness where we don't accept ourselves, where we don't understand the value of ourselves, where we put ourselves down. Maybe we, screw around with drugs and alcohol. Maybe we get in the wrong relationships. Maybe we get in codependent relationships, abusive relationships, and eventually we come out that other side and we either awaken to the brilliance of who we are, okay, spirit gods in skin vehicles, or we don't. And I think that this is a really profound time to begin to awaken to that, because what's your other alternative? Self-pity, doubt, anger, depression within yourself, when you're like this amazing godlike person that can create anything. We can either limit ourselves or we can expand ourselves. Remember, thoughts are things. So anytime we think about stuff over and over again, they become things in our life. All right, so if I'm always thinking that I'm no good and I'm never going to add up to anything, well, then that's probably where my life is. When I begin to realize that I am valuable and I do have the right direction and I am working on my purpose, all of a sudden things start kind of rolling together, because I'm creating that, because our thoughts are very powerful. And because we are very powerful in our own self, those thoughts become actual reality. So remember that the next time you're thinking something kind of crappy, on the vice versa, flip that around and begin to think on the other level, because we can create this down here or we can create really awesome stuff up here. So it just kind of depends. One of the other things that I've thought about the eclipse as far as symbolic is that I feel like, and I know this might sound wild, but I wanted to kind of save this for later on, is that I think it's almost like God's eye is upon us. It's almost like he's winking at us. If you think about it, it's pretty profound. And this is pretty awesome stuff. And I've been reading a lot of articles about people that have seen several, 20, 30 of these eclipses, and they say that every time, some of them weep every single time. Some of them have just like a come to Jesus conversation. One man had watched 35 of them, and still to this day, he says he can't stop shaking. He can't stop shaking because it's so profound to him. And it's interesting because my husband was asking me, he's like, are we going to get some equipment to videotape or to photograph the eclipse? And I said, no. I have no want or desire to spend time behind technology trying to figure out how to photograph something that I need to be in the present moment viewing. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think sometimes in life, whether it's the eclipse or not, we're in these profound experiences and we take ourselves out of that and we get into that technology world. And all of a sudden we miss all the amazing parts of it and all that emotional feel and impact because we're too busy taking that picture. And I know that Facebook needed that picture, but it's like all of a sudden we removed ourselves. And now we're kind of like looking at our phone, and then we were never really there in the moment. If you see what I'm saying? And so I ask you to begin to step back and awaken to your amazing, magnificent lifetime reality. I mean, step back and look at it. I mean, you're your own reality show, for God's sakes, okay? Think about it. See yourself as how you are. You are as magnificent as you want to be or as depressed as you want to be, okay? You are as happy and elated and lucky and amazing as you want to be, or the opposite. Take time to be a part of who you are. Stop rushing through every single day of your life. And realize that when you take a moment, yes, it might be scary at the beginning. You might be like, oh my God. But as you begin to accept you and be comfortable in your own skin, all of a sudden you begin to get it. And you begin to care about yourself and take care of yourself, and you begin to realize that there is something profound going on in your life if you just show it the respect and acknowledge that it exists. Acknowledgement is very powerful to a complete life change. If you feel that something's missing in your life, I ask you to step back and accept that you are awakening at this moment. Begin to see the power within. Stop seeing yourself as just another human being that makes a ton of mistakes and life sucks. Okay? You hear that music on the radio and it's like, oh, we're just humans. We're born to make mistakes. Who the hell cares? That song bugs the crap out of me. I think that we're really, really powerful people. Okay? We're powerful spirit gods, not just people. Okay? We're not just small. We have a ton of power. Okay? And when we unite, we have even more power. So begin to find your tribe. Once you find you begin to resonate with the people that happen to be on your tribe, and you go, oh my God, that person's like me. Oh my God, I totally get that person. It doesn't matter about color, race, creed. None of that stuff matters. Those are just ways to divide people. Okay? And the news and everybody else is using that like a three-ring circus so that you feel like you're out of touch with society. You feel like you got nobody to talk to. You're scared of your own damn neighbor because they could be a serial killer or a pedophile, right? And it's like, we've got to get past that crap. And we've got to realize that if we unite, we are very extremely powerful. And that's what they don't want us to do. So as you see the solar eclipse, as you see it, even if it's a partial eclipse or a full-on solar eclipse, I'm going to be driving. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there. It could take me 12 hours to go, an hour drive, okay? But I'm going to do it. I'm going up to Portland, Oregon, and then I'm going to be traveling to Salem, Oregon, hopefully. And I might be seeing it on the side of a highway. I just want to see it. Other people can take the photography. I'll probably be shaking and crying. I might see you there. But in the reality, think about it. Our life is very meaningful. And emotions are awesome. And to have that awe experience in our life, and I think if you think about the solar eclipse as like, it's kind of like a daily process. We open our eyes, we see the light, we have questions in our life, we figure it out, we have misdirection, and all of a sudden we awaken to a new moment. We awaken to a new thought, to a new perspective, right? And that's what this channel is about, is opening your mind to a new perspective that oftentimes we don't realize exists because we're taught a certain way when we're young kids. And so our whole life we believe that. We're brought up that way, limiting behaviors, limiting thought process. And it's not like our parents were bad people. I mean, some of you might have not had the greatest of parents, but most of us had decent parents who just didn't know any better because they were raised with limiting beliefs because their parents said that you can never do this. Their parents said that this will never happen. Their parents said that life is hard and it's all full of hardships and our life is going to be miserable. And so we got to change those thought patterns and actually create our own perspective, our own rules. Get rid of the rules. Create our own ideas. I mean, you know, kind of like guidelines, really. I mean, that's even better. And find that awesome place that you can continue to change and create awesomeness in your life by realizing who you truly are in this awakening process. If you're going to go see the solar eclipse, I hope that you have an amazing time. I hope that you are mindful and in the actual moment of that time to experiencing something so profound. If you are unable to see it, they will have videos on, I think, YouTube. I know that NASA is going to be shooting some stuff as well. But just remember, this is symbolic for your life. And it also reminds us that time is precious. We can't get it back. So we might as well use every minute for the goodness and see our true reality beginning now. Please subscribe to the channel if you get a chance, if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. And I definitely want to hear from you, comments and thoughts, especially if you are heading to the eclipse. Please let me know where you're going to be. I'm also posting some pictures or whatever of the eclipse later on down on this thread. Would be awesome as well. I look forward to seeing some awesome stuff. But also, if you have some videos and stuff, add those as well. Have a great day, and I hope that you continue to live your true life.